So it's been a while since we did a quick devlog of the kind of activities we've been doing inside the framework. So here's a quick update of what's going on. So we recently created an application where we could visualize lots of different documents from the CMS directly. And as part of that, we created a set of components which makes it easier for you to load a CMS document and also a bunch of sections related to that document. So here's an example of how this is now. So if you see the Wondrous example, if you go into the body, you will see that the Wondrous details page actually has just a single item right now, which is just the entire document of the Wonder, right? So if you go in over here, you will see that there's a couple of different ways in which you can load a document. You could load it directly by a reference, in which case, we can set the reference over here. And in this case, it's set to Taj Mahal. And then a bunch of items which represents the sections within that document. So each of these sections could be a custom document section that knows how to render that part of the section from the document. So if you have a very complex document, you can divide it into a bunch of sections and then have different configurations to render different parts of it the way you see it fit. So here's an example now. Now what's happening is in the case of the Wondrous example, we have a single route that acts as a template route for the Wondrous page, right? So it's a details page over here, as you can see. And then right now it is being fixed to a single reference to the Taj Mahal document, right? So if I now navigate to any of these cards, you'll see that it'll always load Taj Mahal. So I'm going to Petra and still loads Taj Mahal. If I go into Colosseum, it still loads Taj Mahal. Obviously that's not right. Right. So the way you could do it is now you can specify the query configuration. And you can choose, and by default, I've set it to the Wonder query. So this is a way in which you can write a custom query to specifically show what Wonder or document you would like to show for this particular document. And this way you can actually be very flexible. So now if I refresh this page, you can see that the Great Wall will actually go into Great Wall because, we have set a query configuration which points to an identifier related to that particular document. And if you go to Petra, it goes to Petra. You go to Colosseum, it goes there. And then you have a bunch of different sections which are all configured right over here. And by default, I think the hero section comes on top. So I could very flexibly, move the hero section to the bottom. If I refresh this, you'll see that it suddenly is the history section showing at the top. And then if I go all the way down, you'll see the hero showing up. Obviously, that's not the way to put things. So let's bring it back up. Refresh and you'll see that the hero section is back up at the top, right? So now with this two views, which is the document view, so you could actually add a new document just like we did over here. And then within the document, you have the ability to add multiple items. So you can even add items which are not related to the document section. So for example, we support all of the different items which you can just intersperse between the various sections of a document. So for example, if I just want to add, let's say, portable text, and let me just put, this is a sample text, right? Text, if I will spell it, and then make it an H1 tag. And now this is coming at the bottom, but I can just quickly move it to the top. And now if I go into the Great Wall, you'll see, the document section is showing up, and then you have the sample text, and then you have the remaining sections of the document. So this is a nice way to kind of, intersperse and interleave different types of content within the same document. And it allows you to do that. So in fact, the sections which are still waiting to be loaded will show up, with the loader. But the ones which are already ready, like in case of this portable text, it'll show up almost immediately. So if I now refresh this page, you will see that the portable text very briefly came very quickly, and it was almost visible right at the beginning, whereas the other sections took some time to load and then render themselves. So this is a nice way to kind of work with different documents, define the way you want to load the document itself, either by a reference to a fixed document or by using a query to specify a custom query, and then load it up the way you see fit, right? So this is what it looks like from a CMS experience. And let me actually go in and remove the portable text because it doesn't look great. Okay, so we're back where we are. And from a code perspective, it looks something like this. So this is my Wondrous feature, and I have the document view descriptor, which is basically specifying the types of queries I support. So I have a custom query configuration, which basically looks at the identifier from a route and uses that to load a specific document. And then I'm supporting all the different types of document types. So in this case of Wonder, I want to support the Wonder document. And then I have different types of section configurations, in which case I have a section configuration that has an enum that points to different types. So you can see these are all the different section types I support. And this Wonder section configuration has a build method that basically renders the right component depending on the type of section. And we support the Wonder query configuration, which looks something like this. Essentially, the query configuration is a way to use custom logic to read from your router, from your state management, from other system values that you may have, or from user-specific data, and so on and so forth, and use all of that information to construct a query that makes sense for the CMS, and use that to render a very specific document. So right now it is using the identifier, which comes from the Go router state. So one of my path parameters happens to be the Wonder, and I can get the ID from there and use that to drive my document. So this gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of how you can construct your queries, how you can load specific documents, and even dynamically switch the kind of documents you want to show based on user state, based on the app state, based on other types of conditions that you may have in your application. Right, so this gives you a very flexible way to manage and render documents, which has been an ask for some time in terms of simplifying the way you manage documents, because ultimately CMS is where you store all of them, and you should have the facilities like this to deal with them. So that's about managing documents and sections, and you have a very nice declarative way of handling all of that now right from the CMS. And in many cases, you could just fix the reference to a specific document. For example, you could just show the privacy and terms and conditions, which are very fixed documents, and they can show up in different routes of your application. And you could also have very dynamic routes, which show the document based on a query, which we just saw with the Wonders case. And you can configure the various sections of your document. You can move them around. You can intersperse with regular standard content that you have from the CMS. So all of this put together gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of rendering the documents and their sections, with very complex scenarios. And I think this unlocks a lot of simplicity in terms of the way you manage the content and also render it on the client side.